The Biden administration says it's ramping up efforts to tackle domestic terrorism in the U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland and Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas testified on Capitol Hill Wednesday. The two said their departments are working closely together to prevent future attacks like the January 6th Capitol riot.
It is fair to say that in my career as a judge and in law enforcement, I have not seen a more dangerous threat to democracy than the invasion of the Capitol. This was an attempt by some, and I want to be very careful to not ascribe it to all because every case is individually decided. But there was an attempt to interfere with the fundamental passing element of our democracy, the peaceful transfer of power. And if there has to be a hierarchy of things that we prioritize, this would be the one we prioritize.
The former acting defense secretary was also on Capitol Hill. During his testimony, Christopher Miller stood by his department's response to the pro-Trump rioters who stormed the halls of Congress on January 6th.
I want to emphasize that our nation's armed forces are to be deployed for domestic law enforcement only when all civilian assets are expended and only as the absolute last resort. To use them for domestic law enforcement in any other manner is contrary to the Constitution and a threat to the Republic. I ask you to consider what the response in Congress and in the media had been if I had unilaterally deployed thousands of troops into Washington, D.C. that morning against the express wishes of the mayor and the Capitol Police, who indicated they were prepared.
One group at the center of the investigation is the Oath Keepers. The organization gained publicity when members were spotted using military-style tactics to storm the Capitol building. But as BuzzFeed News reports, the group is now struggling to get new members following that January 6th attack. BuzzFeed News reporter Salvador Hernandez has been following the story and joins me now. Sal, welcome. Thanks very much for being with us. So BuzzFeed News' analysis of the Oath Keepers website showed a jump in membership in the 2 months after the 2020 election. How does that compare to now?
Well, right after the election, like you said, there was a huge jump in members, according to some of the data that we saw. Immediately after the election, we saw apparently about 3,000 new members that registered in the website. Well, they were labeled as members. But now, after the indictments have come down, we've seen more than a dozen members of Oath Keepers indicted because of the January 6th insurrection. We're starting to see that they're having some trouble in actually recruiting new members and also in raising money for the organization. In the months since January and February, it's really been a fraction of what they were able to draw in right after the presidential election.
Well, the Oath Keepers are often defined by a number of high-profile showdowns. Last summer, they confronted Black Lives Matter protesters across the country, and they claimed to be enforcing security. What was different for them in regards to the January 6th attack?
Well, we've seen Oath Keepers for a number of years placing themselves in very volatile, possibly violent events throughout the number of years, right? So we saw them inserting themselves in BLM protests. In 2014, they were in Bunkerville, Nevada during the Bundy Ranch standoff with federal authorities. They were involved in some capacity in 2016 in the Malheur occupation. What we saw that was different in the January 6th insurrection is that, according to the federal indictments, there was a lot more coordination, and it seemed like seemed like a bit of an offensive action taken by some of the members. So, as we saw in some of the videos, there were members that had the insignia for Oath Keepers being organized and approaching the steps right before the attack. And we've also seen that there was, according to the indictments, that there were other means of organizations, like, for example, quick response teams that allegedly prepared weapons outside of the Capitol during the insurrection.
And Sal, how are the Oath Keepers primarily funded?
They're funded by a variety of means. Primarily, you have memberships. So they have yearly and lifetime memberships that dues-paying members are required to pay. They also are very active in seeking donations for any kind of activity that they get involved with. So one of the things that we were able to speak to former and current leaders of the organization is that this has become a bit of a business strategy that the organization has adopted, inserting themselves in these very high-profile political events. And while they do that, solicit donations, asking for money that they say will be used to transport, to basically support the mission that they're trying to conduct out there. They also have merchandise, which they push and encourage members to buy.
And Sal, I wonder, the Biden administration has made it clear it plans to focus on domestic terror. How might that potentially impact the Oath Keepers?
Well, it seems like that might be a drastic change from what we've seen in recent years, right? We've seen FBI and some of the federal agencies, they have had resources allocated for domestic terrorism or domestic groups for some time, but the focus has not been on domestic groups for a number of years. Oath Keepers, like other militias, like a lot of other militias, excuse me, a lot of them came into being and grew in membership during the beginnings of the Obama administration, and they've been growing since. Events kind of like the Bundy Ranch standoff, Malheur, and the January 6th insurrection have put them in a higher profile and have actually helped them to recruit at times and to grow their ranks. So a lot of these groups have grown and populated throughout the country. So having federal agencies focusing resources on these groups, it might be the first time for a long time that we have actually seen a coordinated attempt to try and curb that growth after so many years.
All right, Salvador Hernandez, thank you very much.
Thank you.